My gosh, can I see a show of hands from anybody who's been totally ghosted before? I mean, who hasn't it happened to? And the truth is, if the prospect or the client ghosted you, maybe it wasn't as great a meeting as you thought it was.
I would agree with that. I think we've all been ghosted. And if ghosting isn't really the problem, it's usually a qualification problem.
So what went wrong?
Well, I think there's a number of things that could have gone wrong. Ghosting is always, it's difficult. You have this cadence, you've done a needs analysis, you figured out what they needed, you've presented a proposal, and you told them, I'm going to follow up with you in 2 weeks, take a look at this, and you follow up and then just nothing. And you think, oh, they're busy, they've got stuff going on, I'll give them a call later today, or maybe the next day.
They went into the witness protection program is what they did.
Right. They just disappear and you don't know what wrong. So I think, there's a number of things that can combat that. But if you got ghosted, the real issue was you didn't qualify and you presented too early. You gave away your info.
Yes, unpaid consulting.
Unpaid consulting. It's true.
Love that.
And we're trained, right? We're trained as salespeople and as humans to answer a question. Somebody asks a question, you answer it. And we have the information. We have the benefits, we have the features, we have the pricing, we have everything. And so we want to get into good graces with these prospects. So we answer all their questions. And I think at Sandler, one of the things we teach is, unpaid consulting. What the definition of that? It's giving away all your information for nothing, which does lead to ghosting. But we also teach a qualifying process and a structure that can kind of reorganize those steps in a way that works for the buyer and for you.
I feel like sometimes there's like a confusion to why we're here on this call, like why the prospect or the client doesn't know where we're heading. How can you prevent that?
Right? I don't think there should ever be confusion. I think that's a very simple solution. One of the things that I implement and that I teach is called an upfront contract. So what that looks like is, very simply, hi Jen, it's good to see you today. Thanks for taking the time. It looks like we have about 30 minutes scheduled to meet. Does that still work for you?
Still works.
Right? I know we talked about challenges A, B, and C. Are there any other challenges that you'd like to talk about today? All right, and at the end of this, if we've covered all of those things, I want to make this a great use of your time. Do you want to take the last 5 minutes to schedule the next meeting or let me know that we're not a fit? You won't hurt my feelings.
Take all my money.
Right? Right? But I think it's an important step in the beginning of every interaction to make sure that you're on the same page. Why are we meeting? How much time do we have? And what's the expected outcome at the end? I'm either going to get a yes or a no from you, and it could be that I say we're not a good fit.
Right.
But you also have that leverage, that freedom right now I'm giving you to say, hey, we're not a good fit, thank you for your time. I would rather have that. A no is as good as a yes for me, because to ghost, now I'm spinning my wheels. Now I've got churn, and it's a waste of time. Right. And nobody wants to waste their time. We can go uncover more rocks and see if there's gold under those ones.
Well, you're right. There's always more prospects to entertain. And if you get bogged down in the chase, then that's a waste of everybody's time.
It really is. I mean, you can't contact, right? You can't sell anything you don't have. So if you've got the goods but you don't have prospects or they're ghosting you, move on.
I think that so often we're afraid to ask those questions up front. We're afraid to kind of draw our line in the sand, because if you tell them it's okay to say no, what if they say no? And when the truth is, if they're a no, it's just avoiding you spinning your wheels.
Right. I do think, you don't lose the deal in the follow-up. You lost it if you skip those hard questions. Those take practice. Those rarely come natural to any one person. So we practice asking those hard questions. How much do you think this problem would cost to fix? How long are you committed to solving this issue? How long has this challenge been a problem, right? All of these kinds of hard questions that we'd rather just appease the client by giving them the information.
That's not doing anybody a service. Yeah. I think that so often prospects can self-identify this kind of surface level pain. They know they've got a problem. They know if they believe that it can be fixed, but sometimes they just can't imagine making a change.
Change is hard. Change is hard for everyone, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes that fear of disruption, that fear of change is larger than the issue. And as salespeople, I think that's one of the things that we are there to unearth and discover. Because I can't make you change. I can, that old adage, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. I can give you a solution, but if you're not ready to change, then you're not going to. So that is part of our questioning strategies, is unearthing what is their tolerance for change, along with time, budget, and resources.
Yeah, because I think sometimes that's why they ghost, is because it's not that they're not interested. It's just they're afraid, and staying the same feels easier than changing.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So in this upfront contract, do you find that kind of appeases this and helps people to make positive moves forward?
Well, I think the upfront contract is one tool. I think that the second tool that I would, that I train or teach on is pain funneling. And that is asking questions to kind of unearth that pain or those boundaries, unearthing things like resources, money, time, their change tolerance. Do they have those in place and are willing to get it done?
So really, in the end, ghosting isn't the disease, it's the symptom.
Exactly. The disease is poor qualification, not enough pain, and no clear upfront contract. Is your prospecting creating curiosity or resistance?